I'm Gonzalo Duarte. I'm from Toronto. I'm a member of the Center for Social Innovation, and I'm the Executive Director of Compañeros Inc. It's a Canadian social enterprise. We connect Canadian volunteers to our community development projects in Nicaragua: education, health, housing, and water. We've been doing it for 15 years. We've had 1,300 participants, 100 programs, 200 projects, 14 partnerships, and 15,000 beneficiaries. I'm also the founder of something called Global Exchange, which is a network of Canadian global educators from academic, faith-based, social justice, non-governmental, and private civic organizations wanting to raise the standards of practice in North-South community development and international education. Well, when I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. I can't believe I did this, but when I was a kid, I remember setting up a desk in my bedroom and getting a bunch of papers and getting a blue pen and a red pen and pretending to mark papers in French, of all things. And I don't speak French, but I went to a French school for a couple of years. So I would pretend to ramble off in French, marking these papers as a kid, and talking to the students across the desk. And that memory had thankfully long disappeared, but recently I thought about it again because it's pretty relevant to what I'm doing now. I became a teacher. And believe me, I didn't carry that desire from the time I was a kid through high school and university. It actually came to pass when, after high school, instead of going to university or college, which is what most of the people in my peer group were doing, I went on an international exchange program called Canada World Youth. And I spent 3 months on a horse farm in rural Alberta, and then 3 months on a small island in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia. And this 6-month experience with a group of other young Canadians and young Indonesians transformed my life. Because it was, in particular, when I was in Indonesia in this small village on an island, and I saw the effects of people not having access to education, not having access to healthcare or decent housing or water systems, that I said, I want to be involved in community development, and I think the best way I can do that is as an educator. And so that was at age 19. Entered university with this desire to become involved in education and community development. So I did that, got my bachelor's in politics, got my bachelor's of education, and became a teacher. And very quickly found the classroom way too confining as a teacher. And what I'd done as a kid, marking those papers, I hated doing that as a teacher. There's so many students, so many different learning styles, so many needs, and to do evaluation really properly for so many different kinds of learners is super, super difficult. And I didn't have those skills as a young professional, and I also noticed students really suspicious of the whole evaluative process. So I got out of the classroom and took a position in a school-wide position of responsibility. And one of my jobs was organizing volunteer work between students and the community that the school was in. This was in Kingston, Ontario. And I loved it. I just loved it because I was still an educator, but I could really live the experience with students and reflect on the experience in a way that wasn't threatening to them or wasn't number-based. So my dreams of becoming a teacher around the marking didn't pan out accurately, but my dreams of becoming an educator, an experiential educator, and an experiential educator in another language worked because after that position, I founded my own social enterprise called Compañeros Inc. That's 15 years ago, and I started to take students to inner city Toronto, New York City, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Guatemala, Salvador, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. And I fell in love with Nicaragua and decided to focus my company's efforts on improving communities there. And as I said, I've brought 1,300 300 or more now Canadians on 200 different community development projects to Nicaragua. So I'm an educator, I'm involved in international development, and I'm doing it in a couple of different languages. So it's pretty exciting. Yes and no. So am I happy? Yes. So the good news is I've been able to carve out my own path. I have a lot of liberty as the executive director of my own organization. I'm able to impact the lives of other people here in Canada and also in Nicaragua. And so there's a lot of satisfaction and reward from that. And there's no doubt that we've had lots of people benefit from our education, health, housing, and water programs, like thousands. But I'm never happy enough to sort of sit back and say, oh, well, I've done enough. And there's a part of me that's really driven to push myself as a professional further. And as I said, to create this community of practice with my professional peers that constantly raises the standards of practice in North-South global education activities. So I'm happy, yes, but completely satisfied, not yet. Yeah, come and find out more. Contact me through compañeros.ca and Global Exchange. That's globalexchange.ca. Would love to hear from you.